the real estate industry is very, very wide, and since we don't have a lot of time, I'll be only concentrating and giving you a background and a brief on the residential housing market, which is just a portion of the huge real estate market in Turkey. Turkey, as you may know, has a population of 85 million and a growth rate of 1.1% last year, and this has come down from 1.7% in 2014. And the size of family size has come down substantially, actually, from 3.8 to 3.3 in a short period of time. Now, roughly, and statistics in the industry vary widely according to who you talk to and get your information from. So many of the numbers that I give you today, or some of them may vary, but the estimated annual housing requirement is roughly 800,000 in Turkey. This is annual. And it consists of the population growth, which is around 500 to 600,000 annually. Then there are urban transformation projects, gentrification renewals due to housing at risk against earthquakes. As we all know, Turkey is an earthquake risky country. There are some estimates that 6 to 7 million units, of which 1.5 million are critical, need to be reconstructed as they are considered to be housing at risk from earthquakes. And additionally, there's housing required for refugees, which total 4 million as of September 2021. Of these 4 million, 3.7 are registered Syrian, and roughly 300,000 are other nationalities. So that's what makes up the 800,000. I'm going to be short, hopefully. Now let's first look at the supply side. Now between 2013 and 2017, there's been an average 840,000 units construction permits given to the industry. But then after a general economic slowdown, and I think it was a 40% devaluation of the Turkish lira against the US dollar, and then there was a tremendous increase in the CPI to 20%, which is roughly 71% over the previous year. Subsequently, the construction permits came down to 670,000 to 324 to 550, and then to 328 as of September this year. That's 9 months, but if you annualize that, that becomes 437,000 annualized figure. Now, if you look at the occupancy permits, they averaged 740,000 during the 2013 to 2017. And then, similar to, because of the general slowdown, the occupancy permits also reduced all the way down to 279,000 in September this year, which is roughly 372,000 annualized. Now, the reason that the construction permits decreased after 2017 is that first-hand sales have come down also. And so why do any construction if you can't sell, if there aren't any sales? And as a result, what happened was, if you look at the unsold stock, cumulative unsold stock, which became 1.1 million in 2018, grew to 1.3, 1.5, 4, and 1.5 as of September 2021, 9 months, a very large number. But what this means is, of all the housing that has been constructed starting in 2013, only a quarter, about 24%, have been sold. Of the completed units, sorry, not sold. Now, this is a very interesting chart or graph. Now, if we look at the blue line, which is the construction permits, you can see that there's been an increase to 2017 and then a sharp decline all the way to 2019 and actually through 2021. The occupancy permits are in red and they're steady, but then they show a decline also after 2018. And the first-hand sales, which are in green, they also show a decline after 2018. And the result that I just mentioned before, the 1.5 million unsold stock, you can see it in purple, and it keeps growing and growing and growing until it reaches there's the angle of between 2020 and 2021 is down a little bit, so the growth has slowed, but it's still 1.5 million units. Graphically, and in the red circle, we can see that there's a convergence between occupancy permits and first-hand sales. In other words, most of the new housing entering the market are being sold in 2021. And as a result, there's a lack of new housing available, which has resulted in a tremendous increase in prices, including rents, in locations with high demand, such as Istanbul, Izmir, Ankara, Antalya, etc. And so the question I have is, since there's such a huge stock of unsold real estate, housing units, then why is there such a why the housing price is increasing so much? And I think Dr. Gültekin will expand on this a little bit in his presentation. If we look at the demand side now, starting between 2013 and 2017, there's been a steady increase of roughly over 5% compounded annual growth rate. In 2018, I mentioned that there was an economic slowdown, and you can see that the sales have dropped to 1.375, and then again to 1.348 in 2019. But interesting enough, after COVID started in 2020, and you look at these figures, this is the highest yearly figure for housing sales, which is almost 1.5 million units. And the reason for this is because, well, first of all, many of you probably know that the construction industry, and it depends on how you calculate it, is a major portion, a large portion of the Turkish GDP. So it's very important economically. And so what the government did is through the government banks, they subsidized interest rates down to around 7-8%, 7 something for new housing and 8 something for old housing. And they also increased the tenors of the mortgage. And I think they increased it to 15 years, which is not very long, especially when you consider the Western mortgage tenors. But this resulted in an 11% growth and a record year. Okay, and but this can't go on forever, as we know. I mean, subsidies had to stop, and they did. We can see just this quick graph between for the last 2 years. In July, actually the subsidies started at the beginning of the year, and they peaked in July, and mortgage sales of real estate, of housing, was almost 60%. It was roughly 67%. Normally it's around 15 to 20% of the total amount, but this was unusually high. If we look at the top 5 locations for housing purchases as of September, Istanbul is by far the leading location with 19% at 170 or almost 180,000 units, followed by Ankara, Izmir, Antalya, Bursa, and others. Others total around 58%, and these 5 represent 42% of the total. If we look at sales to foreign nationals, between 2013 and 2021, 9 months, actually the 2021 September, I annualized them. The actual figure is 37.9 through September, but that means if we accept the annualized figure to be almost 51,000 units, then there's a 4 times increase between 2013 and 2021. So 2021 is expected to be a record year for sales to foreign nationals. Now, one of the things that makes the purchased by international investors or foreign multinationals is the devaluation of the Turkish lira. And since 2019, the Turkish lira has devalued roughly 56% and almost 25% in 2020. And we know now, actually, I mean, as of yesterday or this morning, it was a little over 9.5 Turkish lira per US dollar. If we look at the top 10 foreign nationals that purchase real estate in Turkey or housing units, it's Iran, Iraq, and Russia, the top three. Iran is at 16%, Iraq 15%, and Russia 8%. What I thought was surprising was the UK has always been in this list, but I don't see it anymore, and it has, I think, replaced the US, which has 3% of the total as of September 2021. And I'm going over it quickly. Now this chart actually looks at three things. The housing price index growth between 2011 and today, or the 7 months, or July 2021. The CPI, which is inflation, and then the exchange rate again. And so in the first chart on the left-hand side, the housing price index is adjusted for inflation, adjusted for CPI. And on the right-hand side, it's a nominal. And you can see that, I mean, this chart on the right-hand side, well, both actually changed a little bit if you look at, because today the exchange rate is much higher. And here, the housing prices surpass the exchange rate. This is mainly a result of what I mentioned before, the insufficient number of housing available. And also several other factors, such as the cost of construction has also increased substantially. Things like rebar, which has doubled in price, and cement has also doubled in price, I think, this year, roughly. So we can see from the chart that the annual exchange rate growth for Turkish lira US dollar has historically almost been higher than the housing price index. And it's good for international sales, or if you are in foreign currency, at least since 2011. And just want to show you another chart just about the development of the Turkish lira versus the US dollar. You can see that the curve, the exchange rate was 1.5 in 2010, and it became 9.2 as of the 18th of this month, but however, today, it's a little over 9.5. Okay. Sorry?
Still higher.
Is it? Sorry. But never a dull moment, you know? I mean, things are changing so fast. Okay, I don't want to belabor any more points.